Welcome to a new video. This is your space for Medicine of the Soul, where we talk about real relationships without filters or fairy tales. Imagine you're offered two paths. The first is an intense, passionate relationship, full of chemistry, but also emotional roller coasters, constant conflicts, and the feeling that it's never enough. The second path is a relationship where you feel peace, where you both grow together, where conflicts are resolved with maturity, where love deepens over time instead of fading. Which would you choose? Most people, believe it or not, choose the first one. Not consciously, but they do. Because they confuse intensity with love. They confuse drama with passion. And they confuse emotional need with genuine connection. In previous videos, we talked about why choosing your partner well determines your success in life. Today, we're going deeper. I'm going to teach you how to do it. How to develop the emotional awareness to choose from maturity, not from your wounds. Before we continue, if this content resonates with you, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Every week, I share medicine for the soul backed by science and deep psychology. And if this video adds value, give it a like. It helps me enormously so more people can find this message. This video is long, it's dense, but it will give you clarity like no other. Let's dive in. Let's start with an uncomfortable truth that few are willing to admit. Your relationships are a direct mirror of your inner world. If you constantly attract emotionally unavailable people, it's not bad luck. If you always end up in relationships where you feel invisible, it's not coincidence. If you repeat the same pattern over and over with different people, the common denominator is you. And before you think I'm blaming you, let me be clear. This isn't about blame. It's about responsibility. And there's a huge difference. Blame paralyzes you. It makes you a victim. It keeps you trapped in why me. Responsibility empowers you. It makes you the protagonist. It allows you to ask, what can I change in myself to attract something different? Carl Jung expressed it perfectly. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Your attraction patterns aren't random. They're the result of your childhood programming, your unhealed wounds, your beliefs about love, your level of self-esteem, your attachment style. Ask yourself these questions with brutal honesty. Do I seek a partner because I feel incomplete without one? Or because my life is already full and I want to share it with someone? Does drama and emotional intensity attract me because I confuse it with passion? Do I ignore red flags because I'm afraid of being alone? Am I looking for someone to rescue me from my current life or validate me? Am I attracted to people who replicate dynamics from my childhood, even if they were painful? If you answered yes to two or more of these questions, you're not choosing from maturity. You're choosing from your wound. And until you heal that wound, you'll keep attracting the same type of people with different faces. And here's what's powerful. When you understand this, when you really integrate it, everything changes. Because you're no longer looking for someone to fill a void. You're looking for someone to complement your wholeness. Before talking about how to choose the other person, you need to build 3 fundamental pillars within yourself. Without these pillars, any choice you make will be contaminated by need, not consciousness. Pillar 1. Deep self-knowledge. Not the superficial self-knowledge of I like coffee and action movies. I'm talking about the self-knowledge that makes you uncomfortable, the kind that forces you to look at your shadows. Know your attachment style. Are you anxious and need constant validation? Are you avoidant and flee from deep intimacy? Are you disorganized and alternate between both extremes? Attachment theory, developed by John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth, shows us that the relationships you had with your caregivers in your early years programmed your way of loving in adulthood. And what's fascinating is that this can be changed, but first you have to make it conscious. Identify your childhood wounds: abandonment wound, rejection, humiliation, betrayal, injustice. Each of these wounds makes you unconsciously seek certain dynamics in your relationships. For example, someone with an abandonment wound can become codependent, clinging to toxic relationships out of fear of being alone. Someone with a rejection wound can sabotage healthy relationships because I'd rather reject first before they reject me. Recognize your destructive patterns. Do you always choose the same type of person? Do you sabotage when things are going well? Do you get bored when there's no drama? These patterns don't disappear on their own. They require conscious work. Pillar 2. Personal integrity and your own life. This is crucial. You can't be ready for a conscious relationship if you don't have a life that fulfills you without a partner. Have your own purpose. What are you passionate about beyond relationships? What's your mission? What are you building? A person with clear purpose attracts differently because they're not looking for someone else to give meaning to their life. Have emotional and financial stability. This doesn't mean being rich or having everything figured out. It means having your bases covered, being able to support yourself, having your emotions relatively regulated. Because when you depend on someone for your stability, you lose your power of choice. Have your own social life and hobbies. One of the biggest mistakes is making your partner the center of your universe from the start. The healthiest relationships are those where two people with full lives decide to intertwine them, not two halves seeking completion. Be able to be alone without feeling incomplete. This is the real test. If you can't be with yourself, if solitude terrifies you, if you constantly seek to fill that void with relationships, you're not ready, because you'll look for someone to cover the hole, not someone who adds to your life. Pillar 3. Healthy boundaries and clear non-negotiables. Emotional maturity includes knowing exactly what you're willing to accept and what you're not. Having boundaries isn't being inflexible or difficult. It's having clarity about your values and respecting yourself enough not to betray them. Examples of healthy boundaries: not tolerating emotional or physical violence under any circumstance, not accepting infidelity as something normal or justifiable, not allowing them to isolate you from your family and friends, not sacrificing your dreams to please your partner, not staying in a relationship out of fear, guilt, or pity. And here's what's interesting. When you have clear boundaries, you attract people who respect them. When you don't have boundaries, you attract people who take advantage of that. Brené Brown, researcher of vulnerability and courage, says, "Daring to set boundaries is having the courage to love ourselves, even when we risk disappointing others." These 3 pillars aren't built overnight, but they're absolutely essential. And the more solid they are in you, the better your ability to choose consciously. Now let's get practical. I'm going to give you 5 non-negotiable criteria to evaluate whether someone is really a candidate for a conscious long-term relationship. And be clear, I'm not saying look for perfection. I'm saying look for fundamental compatibility, because love can exist without compatibility, but lasting happy relationships cannot. Criterion 1. Alignment of fundamental values. This is non-negotiable. Values are your internal operating system. If 2 people have incompatible operating systems, no matter how hard they try, they're going to have constant errors. The 5 core values you must evaluate. First, family and relationships. What role does family play in their life? Do they want children? How many? What parenting style? If you want 3 children and your partner wants none, that doesn't get resolved with compromise. Someone will renounce something fundamental. Second, money and success. How do they see money? As a tool for freedom or as a source of stress? Are they a saver or a spender? Ambitious or conformist? A study from Kansas State University found that arguments about money are the #1 predictor of divorce. Not because money is most important, but because it reflects deep values about security, priorities, and future. Third, personal growth versus comfort. Does this person actively seek to grow, learn, evolve, or do they prefer the comfort zone? If you're someone in constant expansion and your partner wants to stay where they are, eventually you'll grow in opposite directions. Fourth, spirituality and life purpose. I'm not necessarily referring to religion. I'm talking about how they see the meaning of life. Do they believe in something bigger than themselves? Do they seek transcendence or just hedonism? Do they want to leave a legacy or just have a good time? Differences here create deep existential friction. Fifth, honesty and integrity. How do they handle truth? Do they constantly tell little lies? Do they have integrity when no one's watching? Warren Buffett says he looks for 3 qualities: intelligence, energy, and integrity. And he adds, if they don't have the third one, the first 2 will destroy you. In relationships, it's exactly the same. Practical exercise. Don't assume you share values. Ask directly in the first deep dates. What's most important in your life? What fills you with purpose? How do you define success? What's non-negotiable for you? And listen to the answers, not the ones you want to hear, the ones they're actually saying. Criterion 2. Emotional intelligence and communication skills. Research by Dr. John Gottman, who studied more than 3,000 couples for 40 years, can predict with 94% accuracy whether a couple will divorce just by observing them for 15 minutes in conflict. What does he observe? Their emotional intelligence in action. The 4 signs of high emotional intelligence. First, they can identify and name their emotions. Not everything is, I'm fine or I'm bad. They can say, I feel vulnerable, I'm frustrated because, I'm afraid that. Emotional clarity is the first step toward emotional maturity. Second, they can self-regulate under stress. Do they explode and then apologize? Do they shut down emotionally and disappear? Can they breathe, process, and respond instead of react? Emotional regulation is the difference between resolving conflicts and escalating them. Third, they have genuine empathy. They don't just understand your point of view intellectually, they feel with you. They can put themselves in your shoes without losing their own. Empathy without boundaries is codependency. Empathy with boundaries is emotional intelligence. Fourth, they take responsibility without victimizing themselves. This is key. Can they say, I was wrong, without eternal justifications? Or is it always the fault of something external, their past, you? The emotionally mature person accepts their part without destroying themselves. Giant red flags in emotional intelligence, resorting to punitive silence as punishment, yelling, insulting, or dismissing during conflicts. Gaslighting, making you doubt your reality, never genuinely apologizing, only giving empty pardons. Constantly victimizing themselves to avoid responsibility, not being able to tolerate you having negative emotions. If you see these red flags, it doesn't matter how much you love that person. They won't improve without deep therapeutic work, and it's not your job to fix them. Criterion 3. Genuine support for individual growth. One of the most revealing studies from Northwestern University followed couples for 10 years and found something fascinating. Couples where both actively supported each other's personal goals had 40% more relationship satisfaction and 60% less probability of separating. But here's the nuance. It's not just supporting, it's actively pushing forward. The difference between tolerating and supporting. Tolerating is, it's okay, do what you want, with disinterest or resignation. Supporting is, I believe in you. How can I help you achieve it? With genuine enthusiasm. The right person doesn't just let you pursue your dreams. They push you when you're afraid. They celebrate your achievements as if they were their own. They feel proud of your success instead of threatened by it. Evaluation questions. When you share an ambitious goal, do they get excited or sabotage you with realism? Do they celebrate your achievements, or is there a tone of envy or competition? Do they make you feel guilty for dedicating time to your projects? Do they have their own goals, or do they depend on you for their sense of purpose? Do they inspire you to be better or keep you in your comfort zone? Criterion 4. Compatibility of lifestyle and vision of the future. This criterion destroys more perfect relationships than any other, because you can deeply love someone and still want completely incompatible lives. 7 lifestyle areas you must align. First, geographic location, city or countryside, home country or international adventure. I've seen incredible relationships end because one needed the city and the other needed nature. Don't underestimate this. Second, pace of life. Are you someone with structured routines or chaotic spontaneity, early bird or night owl, intense social life or introversion? Differences here generate daily friction. Third, finances and spending style. It's not about how much you earn. It's about how you see money. Savers or spenders, investors or consumers, generous or stingy. Money is the #1 cause of fights in couples for a reason. Fourth, division of roles. Who works? Who takes care of the home? Equality or traditional roles? There's no right answer, but there must be alignment or resentment is guaranteed. Fifth, social life. Introvert needing solitude versus extrovert needing to socialize. Going out every weekend or staying home. These differences seem small, but wear you down over time. Sixth, health and fitness. If exercise and healthy eating are a priority for you and not for your partner, eventually you'll feel like you're not on the same path. Literally. Seventh, children. How many? When? Parenting style? Priority or accessory? This topic is an absolute deal breaker. It's not negotiable. If one wants children and the other doesn't, someone will sacrifice something fundamental to their happiness. Lifestyle compatibility doesn't mean being identical. It means your differences complement instead of clash, that your visions of the future have enough overlap to build something together. Criterion 5. Character, ethics, and resilience. This is the criterion that separates relationships that survive storms from those that crumble at the first crisis. Life is going to hit. You'll lose jobs. You'll have health problems. You'll bury loved ones. You'll face financial crises. And in those moments, it doesn't matter how much chemistry you had at the start. What matters is the character of the person by your side. The 6 non-negotiable character traits. First, radical honesty. Not just not lying. Being transparent even when it's uncomfortable. Admitting mistakes, not hiding. Trust is the foundation of everything. Without it, there's nothing. Second, unconditional loyalty. In public, in private, always. not speaking badly of you to others, not flirting with third parties, not betraying you in moments of weakness. Loyalty is proven in adversity, not in comfort. Third, personal responsibility. Not blaming others, the past, circumstances, owning their decisions and consequences. Responsible people build, eternal victims destroy. Fourth, compassion and humility. Being able to recognize mistakes without their ego crumbling. Treating waiters, employees, people lower in the social hierarchy with respect. How they treat them is how they'll eventually treat you. Fifth, resilience in the face of adversity. Do they crumble at the first obstacle or get back up? Do they victimize themselves or look for solutions? Life as a couple is 10% what happens and 90% how you handle it together. Sixth, capacity for sacrifice, not martyrdom, but the willingness to put the needs of the relationship above individual ego when necessary. Without that, you only have two individuals sharing space, not a couple. Maya Angelou said, "When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Don't ignore cracks in character, hoping they'll improve with love. They don't improve, they deepen." We've talked about the criteria, but now I need to warn you about the biggest mistake I see even in intelligent, conscious people. The mistake isn't choosing wrong. The mistake is choosing right at the wrong time in your life. You can meet the perfect person who meets all 5 criteria, who's compatible with you on every level, but if you're not ready, if you haven't done your inner work, if you're searching from need instead of wholeness, you'll sabotage even the best possible relationship. I've seen this countless times. Someone meets an incredible person, but they're coming out of a toxic relationship, or they're in personal crisis, or they haven't healed their traumas. And instead of doing the necessary work first, they jump into the new relationship, hoping love will cure everything. And guess what happens? They repeat the same patterns, project their unhealed wounds, sabotage with insecurities, and eventually destroy something that could have been extraordinary. Real case. I knew a woman who had just left a 10-year marriage with infidelity. 2 months later, she met a man who was everything her ex wasn't. Honest, present, committed. But she hadn't processed the betrayal. She hadn't rebuilt her trust. She hadn't healed. Result? She sabotaged the new relationship with constant distrust, unfounded accusations, need for control. He held on for a year, trying to prove he was different. Eventually, he left, not because he stopped loving her, but because she wasn't ready to be loved that way. The solution: if you just got out of a relationship, give yourself time. If you're in personal crisis, resolve it first. If you have unhealed wounds, heal them before seeking a partner. Not because you don't deserve love, but because you deserve to give and receive love from your best version, not from your open wound. And yes, this means that sometimes you'll have to say no to someone incredible because the timing isn't right. It will hurt, but it's the mature decision. As Rumi said, "The wound is the place where the light enters you. But first, let the light enter, then share it with someone." Let me close with a powerful truth you need to internalize. Choosing a partner consciously isn't a luxury. It's not something nice to have. It's one of the most important decisions of your life, because the person you choose will influence your health, your finances, your career, your peace of mind, your legacy. The Harvard study of 80 years made it clear. The quality of your relationships is the #1 factor that determines your happiness and longevity. Not your money, not your professional success, your relationships. And the romantic relationship is the most influential of all. That's why you can't leave this to chance. You can't trust only in chemistry. You can't choose from need, hoping love will fix everything. You have to choose consciously, from maturity, from clarity, from wholeness. And if that means being alone for a while as you do your inner work, that's okay. Temporary solitude is a small price for an extraordinary life partnership. If that means saying no to someone who doesn't meet your criteria even though you feel chemistry, that's okay. Chemistry without compatibility is fire that burns fast and leaves you in ashes. If that means being more selective, having high standards, not settling for less than you deserve, that's okay. It's not being demanding. It's being responsible with your life. And when you do find someone who meets these criteria, when you find someone who's at your same level of emotional maturity, when you find someone with whom you can build an extraordinary life, protect that relationship with everything you have. Cultivate it. Invest in it. Because extraordinary relationships aren't the product of chance. They're the product of two conscious people who choose to love each other deliberately, day after day, year after year. If this video gave you clarity, leave me a comment. Tell me, which of the 5 criteria resonates most with you? Which one is hardest for you to evaluate? And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do it now. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any video. Every week, I upload content about conscious relationships backed by science and deep psychology. This isn't superficial couple tips content. This is medicine for the soul, because your life deserves more than a placebo. In the next video, we're going to go deeper into the power of a couple that pushes each other forward. How to multiply your personal success when you choose well. How 2 people can create something greater than the sum of their parts. Don't miss it. Choose consciously. Love consciously. Build consciously. See you in the next video.